So freezing tracks that's something that you do in a DAW when you're recording music. So basically what that is it's a way to free up extra CPU. So like if you have a track, I'm gonna just go right here. I'm in a project right now. So let's say like this track right here has a bunch of plugins on it. Let's say your computer is not the best, something like that. And you're finding that when you're recording and you're mixing in your DAW, it's running slowly, or it's crashing a lot, or it's like skipping when you're trying to play it back or something like that. Sometimes when you make a lot of tracks and you put a lot of plugins on the tracks, you'll notice that kind of thing start to happen a lot. And so one thing that you can do is you can freeze the track, which basically means that the plugins that are on the track are no longer using up any CPU, and so it's actually going to run more smoothly. The only drawback is that it takes some time for it to freeze, and the other thing is that you won't be able to actually like use the track for a recorder or anything like that, or mixing while it's frozen, which is why it's called frozen. It's kind of like just frozen. The state of it is frozen. And so when you want to record again or to like mess around with the plugins or anything, you would have to unfreeze the track, and then you can kind of mess around with it again. So I'm in a project right now. This is a track, it has some plugins on it. And so what I would do is I would go to track right here and go to render. I'm in Reaper, by the way, so it might not be the same if you're in another DAW, but it's going to essentially be the same process. Basically just go to track, go to render, freeze tracks, go over here. I'm going to go to freeze tracks to mono, just click that. There's another thing that said freeze track to stereo. You can experiment with that if you want. I just always do mono. So now you can see the track looks different, so it's actually frozen, so none of the plugins over here are being used, and you can see it's no longer green. Like the effects thing turns green when there's plugins on it, so no longer green. It means that there's still plugins on it, they're still working, it's just that the CPU is no longer being used, so it frees up extra processing power for your computer so it can run more efficiently. So it can be really useful in those situations if your computer's like just running slowly, or it's lagging, or it's crashing a lot. Yeah, so if I want to unfreeze it, just click the track again, click track, go here again, render freeze tracks, and then just go to unfreeze tracks. And then it's going to take some time, and unfreezing always takes shorter, which is cool. And yeah, so now I can use it again, I can do different stuff to it, change the volume or whatever. I personally freeze tracks all the time. It's really helpful, especially if you have a computer that honestly isn't like the most ideal for recording and mixing, can really be helpful. So I post new videos every Monday and Thursday, like tips like this, but a lot of guitar performances and stuff like that. Also want to say thank you to my Patreon community. You guys are freaking awesome. So you can go there for really cool exclusive tips on my recording process and my songwriting process and stuff like that. Also offer really cool weekly challenges for my community on Patreon. So definitely check it out in the description if you're interested, and I'll see you in the next one.